In 2018, Juan Soto's rookie season, he was pretty damn good. 2019 was even better, and the year after in 2020 was incredible, with 2021 being another dominant MVP caliber season for one of, if not baseball's best hitter. It was impressive, and it all showed how much the Nationals front office needed to extend this man to keep him in Washington, D.C. forever. And Mike Rizzo, the Nationals front office, and the ownership certainly tried. Now imagine being so good at your job that when you are offered the largest contract in that industry's history, you turn it down. That's exactly what Juan Soto did. According to reports, the first offer he got was for $350 million over the course of 13 seasons, which was offered before the MLB lockout was implemented during the offseason, and an offer in which Soto of course turned down. It's now being reported that Soto has turned down what would be the largest contract in baseball history, as he rejected a more recent offer of $440 million over 15 seasons. That would soar past the previous record deal, which was Mike Trout's $426.5 million over 12 years. Back on June 1st of this year, Nats general manager Mike Rizzo said publicly that the team was not trading Soto, saying that they have made their intentions clear to Soto and his agent, going on to say that they have every intention of building their team around Juan Soto. That has now been changed. According to Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, due to Soto's latest rejection of $440 million, club executives believe that if they cannot sign him for that amount of money, they never will, and in response, the Nationals will start exploring trades for Soto. Soto isn't necessarily that happy this news came out, saying he's frustrated it did and was sad about it, being someone who likes to keep things like that private. Now, the Nationals do have plenty of time to deal their star player, considering they have Soto under control for 2 whole seasons after this one, as he doesn't reach the free agent market until after the 2024 season. But the sooner they do deal him to another team, the greater the package coming back will be, and as far as how good that group of young prospects and players will look like, let's just say it might break the trade deadline. Front offices are likely now going into a frenzy with the news that one of the game's best hitters is on the trade market, with each one trying to figure out how to get a deal done, but it's safe to say that it won't be easy. A potential Juan Soto trade could give the Nationals one of, if not the greatest package of players in history, at least in terms of expectations for those players and where they're ranked. To get an idea of just how great Juan Soto really is, he has a career .427 on base percentage and a career .968 OPS. He's popped 118 home runs, has walked more times in his career than he's struck out by almost 50 more walks than strikeouts, and a career 21 wins above replacement. Only one player in the modern era, which is since 1900, has a better on-base percentage through his age 23 season than Juan Soto. And that player is Ted Williams. Oh, and yeah, by the way, like I just stated, he's only 23 years old. 23, that's it. That's how young he is. And yet another reason why front offices league-wide are likely freaking out over him being available. It's looking like this could be the biggest package ever in return for Soto. And according to one unnamed general manager, it will be a Herschel Walker type deal. For those who don't know, was perhaps the biggest and most famous trade in football history, with another team executive saying it will be like Kevin Durant. Early speculation that is not 100% confirmed is that the Nationals would request a team's top 4 prospects and them to also possibly take on Patrick Corbin's big contract to take his money off the Nats' books. Yes, that's asking for a whole lot, but when you are sending a team a player like Juan Soto, really anything is fair game. Let's now take a look at some of the top teams in the running for Soto. To start off, I'm going to go with the team not many would expect to make a trade like this, but the San Francisco Giants. Why not? Well, there's one big why not, but this goes for every team, which is the fact that you'd be giving up a ton of future pieces for one player. So the Nationals will likely only be considering a trade with teams that are top 10 or 15 rated in farm systems. As far as the Giants go, they are right there at number 11. They have a very solid farm system and one that could almost certainly get a guy like Soto. Will it hurt to give up who they'd have to give up? Of course, but I don't know if it would be a horrible idea to put a lot of resources into Juan Soto as far as players you'd trade and then extending him for what he wants. That's a whole other conversation in itself, considering Soto might want north of $500 million, but with longtime Giant legend Buster Posey now retired, the Giants could use another face of the franchise, especially when he has the potential to become one of the greatest hitters in baseball history. Next up, the San Diego Padres. General manager AJ Preller and the Padres have made some big trades and moves over the last couple of years, and their farm system has taken a beating because of it, but they still have good talent there and depth. A Soto deal would undoubtedly deplete San Diego's farm system and push them way further behind in that sense, but if you have the possibility of pairing up Fernando Tatis Jr. with Juan Soto, that idea is attractive enough to think about pulling that trigger to get it done. Next up, we'll go through a few teams that should obviously be in the mix: the Yankees, Dodgers, and the Mets. Of those three, I doubt the Nationals would want to lend a division rival one of the game's best players for the next 2.5 years, so it's hard to see that happening. Also, the Mets are 20th ranked in farm systems. That might not be good enough. In my mind, I'd say the Yankees are the most likely of those three teams to get a deal done. To start, the Mets are at least for the reasons I just stated, and as for the Dodgers go, it's hard to see them trading away a ton of their highly touted prospects. It's hard to see the Yankees doing that too, but it just seems more likely than the Dodgers getting a deal done, or especially the Mets. Now, I could be way off on this, but that's just how I see it. But the way I also see it is if I'm the Dodgers, Mets, or Yankees, I wouldn't trade for Soto, but rather wait until he's a free agent and throw all the money in the world at him if that's what you want to do. At the same time, you would have 2+ years of control if you traded for him, but with teams like that, I would wait to sign him. He's going to only be 25 years old when he becomes a free agent. 25. Aaron Judge had his rookie year at 25. That's when Soto would become a free agent. It's easy to just go down the top 5 or 10 farm systems in baseball and see that those are the top 5 or 10 teams to trade for Soto, but it isn't that simple. It's hard to see a team like the Rays go after Soto, a team that was ranked the 3rd best farm system in baseball coming into this season. The Texas Rangers, Detroit Tigers, and Kansas City Royals are all in the top 10, but it's also hard to see any of them sending a ton of their future pieces away for one player. There is one team that I think, however, and it may surprise a lot of people, but I feel like the Baltimore Orioles actually have a solid chance at acquiring Juan Soto. Going into the 2022 season, the Orioles have the #1 ranked farm system in all of baseball. They've jumped 12 spots since pre-2020 and have some of the most highly touted young prospects in the game. In fact, they could easily get Soto, but that's not the point. Would they be willing to alter their future a little bit in order to get him? Well, they currently have 5 players in the top 100 prospect list, some other really solid prospects as well, and they just drafted the #1 overall pick in the 2022 MLB draft. As far as on the field goes, the Orioles have actually sort of become a good team. I'm not kidding. They went into the All-Star break winning 11 of their last 13 games and are in the thick of the wildcard chase. Will that hold up, and will the Orioles make the playoffs? Who knows, but regardless, this is certainly promising for a team that hasn't been remotely competitive for 6 years now. Would their farm system be blown up in a big way in a Juan Soto trade? Yes, just like anybody else's would, but they'd still have a relatively decent farm system and, of course, Juan Soto. The Orioles also have some money to spend, as they haven't really spent any money in years. In fact, they have the lowest payroll in baseball. The lowest. They certainly have the capability to make a massive trade and then sign a massive contract for Soto, effectively making him the new face of their franchise. Orioles fans are definitely buzzing over their latest hot stretch, but this would only further excite the fans in Baltimore, as it could be the start of a really good team for years to come. But time will tell. All we know for sure right now is that Juan Soto's time in Washington, D.C. is likely over, as the team is looking to trade him, and acquiring him in a trade will require perhaps the biggest return in baseball history. Let me know where you think Juan Soto will be traded if he indeed gets traded. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.